Welcome, everyone. Can you see me? You can't see
Yes.
Jacob,
No.
but you can see me. You can see Travis. And you know what?
Well, if they're listening on like
Oh,
Spotify, they don't see any of us
they
ever.
don't see anything. Well, you can hear, you know what? You can hear us. You can hear our beautiful voices. That's all that matters on this episode of the DweeBros podcast. We're coming at you at a hot 95-degree weather night here in hot Ohio. And we have got some cool news to talk about. We've got some movies to talk about. Some may have made in this episode. Some TV shows. And some divorces.
Who's getting divorced?
Well, someone's getting divorced.
I saw this note
Oh,
today.
this is actually hilarious for Jacob to not know what we're talking about.
I saw this note today, and it just cracked me up. It's like, because it'll tell you if somebody updates the notes or whatever.
Yeah.
In the app that we use, and I'm looking through. It's like, hey, something about PlayStation, Xbox. Okay, pretty standard. And I scroll down to the bottom, and I see that Travis has added a note. It just was so random and all that we had. It was Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are getting divorced. I was like,
That's big news.
that is big news.
This
Every
is huge news.
single time I've seen a video of them or a picture, he looks pissed off. Because you can always, I feel like you can always catch somebody at a bad time or a bad picture, and they're like, oh, they look pissed. Or you can make little assumptions about someone's like relationship. Like, ooh, Justin Bieber hates his wife. This person hates this, whatever. But Ben Affleck never had a good picture with Jennifer Lopez at all.
He
Never.
always looks like he just got bad news.
Yeah,
from his
on the
doctor.
outside looking in, never was like a good time. So,
Yeah.
good for both of them. I don't know.
Can-
Is this good?
Can I share the headline that I saw, Zach?
Yes,
That
yeah.
I told you about earlier. So I saw that they're getting divorced a couple days ago, and this is all on the heels of her movie about their love together in the movie she tried to make, didn't happen. But they got married, I guess, last year, and I read this headline. It said that Jennifer Lopez is selling her mansion, her 63-room mansion. And then it just said, quote, there's too many memories in that place. Now, they own the home for under a year. So, Jacob, my question to you is, if you owned a 63-room mansion and you were married to somebody for 9 months, how confident are you that you could make enough memories in enough rooms of that house that you would feel like you have to sell it after?
Dude, I will rediscover the Men in Black formula. Whatever it takes. That house isn't going.
Well, I just couldn't you just move to a different floor? Like, couldn't you just start over? Like, I don't know. You got 63 rooms.
Yeah.
There's
63
so many other
rooms.
opportunities. I mean, you could get married 60 more times and not hit the number of rooms.
Yeah, I'd have enough memories for that place. I could have like multiple ex-wives in that place. So
What would you do if you owned a 63-room house? I've wondered this because, I've got a 2.5 bedroom house. Like, it's 2 bedrooms, and we just use an area that's not a bedroom for studio music stuff. But what is the number of rooms at which you would be out of hobbies? And it's just silly, right? Like, we're all guys with hobbies, and I got music. I could definitely do a studio out of a few different rooms. I could make a studio, like a vocal booth and a tracking room. I could definitely do that. I could do a movie theater room. I could do a game room. But how many rooms until you're out of things? I have a number in my head.
I had a rich friend growing up, and he had a huge house, and they had. Now it was a bigger house, but they had 4 bedrooms. He was an only child, and those 2 other rooms, I never saw them go into. They were 2 guest bedrooms on top of that.
Yeah.
They just never used it. Now again, it was a bigger house, but now think of that. I'm thinking of that times 30. What was it? 2?
Yeah, well, these are people without hobbies then, because I had a friend that was
8,
pretty
so-
wealthy growing up too. It was the same thing. There was 2 rooms. There was a living room area and 2 rooms not used. I have hobbies. I would make something, but I think I'd run out at 12. I think
12?
Yeah.
after 12, for me and Jess, my
That'd be
wife,
every single hobby you'd have in each room.
every hobby, if I
You'd have a
dedicated
guitar
even
room,
for
a drum
music,
room.
well, even for music, if I made like a tracking room where you could have a band in a room, and then like a room with like the console, and then you had a vocal room and like one other room for storing like music equipment. If I even did 4, I think I'd be at 12
Oh,
with no
man, I
kids
ain't
or
gonna
anything.
lie,
I think 12, but
that's
like,
insane.
well, I mean, I'm saying I would do a movie theater room. I'd
Yeah.
do a game room. I'd do like a room with like ping
You're right.
pong
You're right.
and
If you
like
could go that
pool.
crazy, you'd make like a movie room.
Like if you can
make-
go that crazy, but I don't think
Or
I could
just
do
a-
more than 12. I think
Yeah.
once I get to 12, it would just be guest rooms.
yeah, 12, you're running
I-
out of things to do. That is pretty
So that's
crazy.
why I was wondering, like, how many could
That
you
sounds
fill
fair.
up with
10,
meaningful
10
things?
like 10 to 12, yeah.
10 to 12.
Because I would
12.
actually, you know what I would do is I would split the game room up into like each room would be a different game developer. So it'd be like Nintendo,
a Sony room,
a Sony room,
and
the
the
Xbox,
Xbox room would be like the room
you
that,
could fit a
when you were a
guest.
kid nobody goes in.
You could fit a guest. You could fit a guest. That'd be the guest bedroom.
I'm just kidding. I love Xbox when I was growing
No,
up.
you don't.
When I was growing up.
I'd go look at the
You know what?
like, first 2 generations.
When we started this podcast, we were we self-imposed, like we said we were Sony fanboys.
We had our feet on an Xbox.
The first episode we did
Yeah.
that. But I think what are we 8 years later or whatever since that?
Something like that.
I think it's cool now to hate on Microsoft. I think everyone is collectively doing that in the stories we're going to talk about today. But like I've seen much more people just come out of the woodwork and be like, "What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing with Xbox and stuff?" But
And I grew up. Xbox was my.
I love the 360 and I
people.
love the original Xbox.
Yeah,
so
I
we're
just
huge fans
they've
of that.
they've come to a strange 8-year period.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
in the time we've had this podcast,
Let's get into it. So let's see.
what
yeah,
are
let's
your
do Xbox.
top 3? Just let's start with this. In the time since we've had these podcasts, name 3 Xbox games that they made that you like. Like I can say Halo Infinite,
Halo Infinite.
No.
Forza Horizon 4.
No.
I played that and I had fun, but I didn't even think of that. The Forza.
I mean, yeah, it's just
For
like
me.
a fun game. It's
Yeah.
not, but like it's slim
Do you count
pickings,
Sea of
man.
Thieves?
Yeah, Sea of Thieves is.
I mean,
and a lot
that
of
is
people like
them,
that
yeah.
one.
Yeah. And it's not to
I'd say
be
that's-
mean. It's just, but now if I say, since we had this podcast, let's do Nintendo. Let's do Sony.
Yeah.
Let's do
There's a
like,
ton of
I
stuff to
mean,
go through. Yeah.
we're having conversation. We're not just like trying to think of something. And
Well, we don't think about our long view videos. Like, not a single one of them is an Xbox game.
yeah, you're not lying. You're not
Yeah.
lying.
So,
Okay.
let's talk about kind of what's going on this month with Xbox.
Yeah. They're having some backlash.
Yeah. So they confirmed, and this is funny when they let's rewind a little bit when they announced, hey, we're gonna experiment and put some Xbox games on PlayStation. The millisecond that came out, I said everything is coming to PlayStation. Like I just knew it because they've already pushed in that direction. They want to be on everything, so we already know that about that. Their DNA. That's the kind of what they've been pushing for. But when Indiana Jones was coming out, I was like, oh, that's gonna come too. And I had people going, there's no way, and I'm like, you're really gonna eat crow here, you know, like a little bit. So, yeah. So they announced it is coming to PS5. So it's coming out to Xbox this fall, correct? I don't know the exact release date. And then spring.
Yeah, it's coming out, I think, November.
Just around in
Um,
spring. That's not that far. It's not
Yeah.
even a year. It's not even a year delayed. It's
No.
just
Well,
months. That's
And
like
it was
months.
weird. They did like
PS5.
a new trailer for it at Gamescom, or with Jeff Keighley or whoever, and then they're like, one more thing, and everybody's like, okay, and then they put up the date and the PlayStation, and like the crowd had like no reaction because it was like the people that were excited were now like, okay, like
Yeah.
I thought
What
this
was the
was
point
for
of this?
Xbox only.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's cool that I think that game needs all the help it can get. I'm just
Sure.
going to be honest with y'all. Like, I think that game should be trying to release on every platform it can.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with them business wise. It's just, I don't know what their brand is
Yeah.
anymore.
They've
I
they've
don't- I
don't
lost
think-
the
I don't
plot
think they
to
know.
that stuff. And I agree with you.
I think they're
put-
grasping.
Put games on every console and stuff, but there is something to be like said, and that's what the turmoil is. Why would I buy an Xbox if I'm already going to get Xbox exclusives, and then I also get Sony's exclusives, which aren't on Nintendo and aren't on Microsoft, and same with Nintendo. Like, I would probably want a PlayStation and a Switch, but at the same time, PlayStation's putting some stuff on PC too and kind of testing the waters, but they're not putting it on
but
Xbox. I don't know.
PlayStation's smart. They're gonna say we'll wait 4 years before we put a game
They
on
wait
PC.
quite a while. They wait a year usually.
Yeah.
Like
The other
that's
thing
how you
that's
preserve a game sales.
Yeah.
the other thing that's plaguing Xbox a little bit right now is the Series S. And there's been some mixed reporting on this. So like the way this story first kind of came out was there's this new game, Black Myth Wukong. I don't know. I'm not playing it, but it's this game. It's like a kind of a
I've seen
God of War like
gameplay of it,
Souls-like. It's kind of like a character action game. Having a pretty good launch. It's only on PlayStation. Now, people thought that it was coming to Xbox. It's debatable if that was happening or not happening. It was kind of confusing. But what the story was that came out recently, and then this was kind of argued, was that the reason the developers didn't put it on Xbox, at least at launch, is because Microsoft has a rule that if you put a game out, it has to come out on X and S. You can't do but one or the other, and it can't be. It has to have all the same features. So, like, if you put it out on S and X, if you have multiplayer on one, it's got to have multiplayer on the other. That was where Baldur's Gate got into a bunch of crap because it was like they can't do the multiplayer thing on the Series S. So they just didn't release for a while. And then for a while, Baldur's Gate, the biggest game of the year, just wasn't on Xbox, which is crazy. It's like a CRPG, like Western game. Like, Xbox should be trying to get exclusive rights to that game, not missing the boat on it. Now, then people came back and said, no, it's not because the S is underpowered. That's not why. It was because of a marketing deal. And then other people are kind of saying, well, the marketing deal is the reason they're giving. That is real, but it was also because of this underpowered. And I saw somebody bring up, they were like, okay, they can have these rules for developers. What's Rockstar going to do? Because look, if they want to put out GTA 6 just on the X and say the S isn't powerful enough to put it out, Microsoft's going to have to bend the knee to Rockstar. You know what I mean? Like, and at what point in this generation are they going to soften that requirement? Because we are getting to a point. I love my Series S. It's cool. But I would understand if they had a game where they said, this one's not coming to S, guys. Like, it's just not simple enough to downscale it to 1080p.
I feel like that is a consumer nightmare, though. Hey, it's just on X, and like little Jimmy is going to get excited for the new GTA 6 that he's going to get, of course.
And
he doesn't get it on his S, he should have had it at X.
They're going to start having developers potentially skip their system.
It's what happened to Sega.
It's already happening.
Sega went through the same thing, and not as complex, but they made it really difficult to develop for the Saturn. And you know what they did? PlayStation. Let's go to PlayStation. And that's what PlayStation did. PlayStation was easy to develop for. In a time when you had Nintendo 64, which was not easy to develop for, but it was powerful, versus the PlayStation, people were choosing the PlayStation.
Yeah.
You're right. But the irony of all this is when they were announcing Project Scorpio, you guys remember their big tagline, Phil Spencer?
Wasn't it the
generations are over? That's what he came out and said.
I thought I was going to say
the gigabits or whatever.
Gigabits, or I thought you were
But they came out and they said generations are over.
Yeah.
But that's not true because they've packaged these two devices together as a generation. And it just goes back to, I cannot follow what they are saying. Like, I don't understand. It looked like they were going to almost go in a model where like every 2 or 3 years they release a new series and then they would slowly discontinue. They got to figure something else out. They have got to figure it out because this Series S, I mean, it's a cool device. I love it. I paid $199 used and I got it, and I've played plenty of fun games on it, and it's great. I turn my brain off. I'm not worried about it being 4K when I play on that thing. I played Yakuza and stuff, but you're not playing GTA 6 on that thing. Like, there's just no way. There's no way that's happening.
No.
So maybe it will, but anyway.
You know
No,
what? They're
you're
still
gonna
putting
play.
they're still putting games out on Switch. They'll figure it out.
But that's the thing, though.
Switch is made in 2017.
The Switch embraces its model. Like Xbox, they don't even like their model. It feels like. Does that make sense?
Well, the where I would disagree there, Zach, is yes, there's games coming to Switch, but there isn't a rule that anything that comes out on PS5 has to come out on Switch.
Yeah.
So some games make their way over, but a lot
They're
don't.
saying like we can half do this. We can half develop for your
And
platform.
there are these rare games like The Witcher 3 and Doom where they get a port, or Wolfenstein, but those ports are not like, it's like black magic how they get those games to come over. So I mean, you don't see Call of Duty every year on the Switch for a reason. And
Absolutely.
I know the Series S is a more advanced piece of hardware than a Switch. I'm not saying that, but by order of magnitude, like we are now tapping into the power of the PS5 and the Series X in ways that I don't think the S can keep up with. Now, anything else about Xbox? Because we were talking about Rockstar. I was going to bring
what's going on with this Game Pass business?
Oh, okay. So, and this is a little old as a news story, but I will say I deactivated my Game Pass when they shut down Tango, because to me it was like, that's kind of why I'm supporting you guys, is because I know there's these developers I like. You're shutting them down, and they've released a good game in the last year. I'm done. So now, right after I unsubbed, they did this rebranding of all of their levels, and they went from like, they had Game Pass Standard. It was just called Game Pass, and then they had Game Pass Ultimate, which was like $5 more.
I never understood any of this. I just got on it on PC when I could.
Yeah, and so there was Game Pass for the console, Game Pass for PC, and then Game Pass Ultimate gave you both. But fundamentally, when I say Game Pass, like Zach, if I tell you you have Game Pass, what does that mean to you?
I feel like I get all the games that is on their service.
You get all the games. You get all the games. So what they did was they changed the first level of Game Pass to what's called Game Pass Core.
Okay.
They took Ultimate and made that now Game Pass, and then they added another level above and made them all more expensive. And then they got rid of Xbox Live Gold. So what do you think Game Pass Core gives you? Now, you were paying for $10 a month for Game Pass Core in the past.
I feel like no games and I can get online.
You get a select number of first-party games.
Okay.
And you get online.
Okay.
Actually, wait, no, you don't. You don't get online. I forgot. That only comes with Ultimate. You get a select number of first-party games.
And you can't get online.
But no third. And but you don't get the full Game Pass catalog. You get like the PS Essentials. You know, like the like 12 games they give you. You get that.
But you can't get online on the Core?
$12 a month.
Yeah, that's crazy. See,
it's a disaster.
I don't keep up with all that stuff
and now when they say, they say comes to Game Pass. And you'll get day one. You don't get day one games anymore on Game Pass Core. But they said that, like when you do the like this comes to Game Pass, this is coming to Game Pass, and the shows.
Yeah.
Now you can't even say that because it doesn't come to all
asterisks
levels.
At the bottom of all that. They're going to be asterisks all over the place.
This comes to levels 2 and 3 of Game Pass. Yeah. It's bad. I don't root for it like to be bad. I really don't. I mean, I love Halo Infinite. Yeah.
I don't want anybody to be bad, but Microsoft is just being bad, and I think the world is in agreement that something needs to change. I don't know.
It's bad.
I cracked up the other day. I actually retweeted. There was somebody, or when that Indiana Jones news came out, and right above it, it showed trending on Twitter. It said Phil Spencer. Like it said Indiana Jones, Phil Spencer. Like immediately, that's like great. What are we doing with this guy? But you mentioned GTA 6. And there was something that came out recently, and there's rumors. I feel like there's been rumblings for a while, so I think there's discussions going on actively on this. That they are wanting to charge $100 for this video game.
The leak was $100 to $150, which tells me it would be base $100. And then maybe for the early access and all this other stuff higher.
Yeah,
and we've talked about this. Stuff. This has been a long-running question on our podcast. When will we hit the day that a game is $100?
And playing Red Dead Redemption 2, that game is just overflowing with just deep care and just like minute details to the extreme. Like no other game, I think this generation has done it to that level extreme. And when I heard about this, I was just like, they might be able to go up and swing and try this. I don't know. They might swing and a miss on this, but I think they're the one that has worked for 15 years on this game. It's like, you know what? Come out for $100. I think you're going to get people there. You know what I mean? Like people aren't going to sit home on GTA 6 release day and be like, an extra $30 kept me home from a game that I've been waiting, This feels like it's been
Jacob,
I don't know,
years,
man. I feel like that's a wild idea, man.
You're gonna get people mad. Yeah, but
base game. You're telling me base game.
Base game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Go ahead, Jacob.
I don't agree with that. I don't think that's the move.
But what if you're getting probably a very dense online GTA 6, and you're also
every game
getting
is online nowadays.
You're also getting a map that's gargantuan and packed with details.
I'm gonna tell you.
I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you.
I would be there at 100.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I think this game launches at 100.
Yeah.
We live, in my opinion, a little bit in a post-standard cost of game environment for a couple reasons. Some people jumped to 70 when it was time. Other people didn't. There's still games that launch at $59.99. Most big games now are $69.99. But then what makes it even more confusing is several of these big publishers now do this like early access for 3 days, and those are always 80 or 90. This Star Wars Outlaws game has been cracking me up because there's been all these posts about it and some of the glitches, but I think it looks kind of fun. And I thought, I was like, you know what? I know it's goofy. I know it's getting 7s and 8s. But some people really like it. I might buy this. $70. I might buy it. And I looked it up, and even though I've been seeing all these clips and people just everyday people talking about it, it's $100 right now because it's in its early access 5-day window or whatever.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's not.
And the game was $100 on PlayStation Store last night when I looked. And so there's already people buying not GTA 6 for $100. And Jacob, I'm going to ask you right now, when you bought NCAA, I don't know the answer to this question. When you bought NCAA,
yeah,
did you buy it in early access?
No.
Okay, how much was it then when you bought it?
$69.99.
Okay, you waited till day one, but it was out on early access.
Correct.
And how much was that when it launched?
I think there was 2 editions. They did the cross bundle edition, which had Madden included, which was like
170. I saw that.
Yeah, and then you had the standard one.
Okay. Well, I was just curious if you did that. What I'm trying to say is these other companies have been softening people up a little bit.
Yeah.
We just live in a world where, like, if we are day one GTA 6, I'd put down $100 because I absolutely know. After Red Dead 2, I 100% know I'm getting a hell of a 60-hour plus experience. Nothing will ever touch it. It'll be one of the best games I've ever played.
I feel that way about Elden Ring.
They can get away with it.
I feel that way about Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Because there's, and let me go old school for a little bit. So I grew up with the N64 PS1 generation. That was kind of like my jam. That was a lot that I was playing when I was growing up, and the prices were all over the place. And then if you go back, Super Nintendo did the same thing, NES gen as well. There was prices that were like $50, and then there was $85 games back in the 90s. And what I think I'm okay with is if you have GTA 6, you've worked 11 years, I'm going to give you $100 because I can look at your past work. The quality is there. Like, we can see that in the trailer. We know it's going to be deep, minute details. It's like, this deserves it. When freaking Star Wars Outlaws coming out, and if they're wanting $100, now some people are, there's a level of people that are diehards who'll do that, but mainstream, you're going to get 40 from me for what I've seen. Not that team didn't work hard, but it's like there is differing levels of like what a game is. And I think we'll see more $100 games, and I'm okay with that. Like the next FromSoft game, that takes 8 years or whatever, all these teams and minute details to make. I think it's okay to say, hey, that's worth a freaking $100. I would have paid $100 for Elden Ring. I would have paid $100 for Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. It is almost too much content. It's too much stuff I'm having fun with. It's like, Yeah, like I'm not
Yeah.
really, and I think inflation has to do with that and the games industry in a whole, and like trying to serve, like how we can't keep this ship together and all these outsourcing and all this stuff. Like it's getting too nuts. And it's if they think that they need to do that and they've earned it, like I believe
Yeah.
Rockstar has with the care and quality, it's like, I'll be there day one for 100 with you. I'm not,
Yeah.
that's not crazy.
I'm not going to send over 100. And here's the second part in the note I wrote. On the heels of that was the statement that a lot of people in the industry are viewing this as a reset point for the industry for other games to sell 100. I'll tell you right now, I don't think that the industry is going to get the response they think they'll get to $100 games.
If you see GTA 6 doing this and people come out of the woodwork, these dummy execs that are already making terrible decisions, Phil Spencer's going to freaking have a wet dream over this. He's like, we have to, Indiana Jones 2 is $100. It's like, you got to sit and really think about what you're about to do and what you're about to charge.
Yeah.
And like Armored Core, I think launched at $60. I don't think it was $70.
And that was the right move.
And that was the
I
right
think Elden
price
Ring
point
is
for
60 too. I don't think From's done a game at 60. To me, the tiers are I could do 100 for like a select group of like Last of Us 2, like the AAA of AAA open world Cyberpunk. Now it didn't launch the way it would have deserved to be $100, but if Cyberpunk had launched the way it is now,
that's $100.
That's a $100 game to me. I've played it now. I wouldn't pay $100 for it now, but if it was new and we were living in that time, to me, then like 60 is like your Armored Core, like your Stellar Blade, like very good games, like that are like a typical day one kind of game. To me, like a Spider-Man, a God of War, like those smaller scale, to me, those are like 60 to 80,
Yeah.
And then like your kind of AA games or your 40 and your indies or your 20. And like, so like, that's kind of how I see it. But the problem is, or maybe it's a good thing, the standard's going all out the window. I mean, games are starting to launch at weird prices. I saw a game that was like $97 the other day. It was like a pretty well-known game, but like this edition of it was 97 or whatever. I don't know. I just think that's interesting. Jacob, I think it's interesting you're really against it. To me, the question isn't do I value gaming at $100? It all comes down to the game.
Correct.
I know I am getting 50 to 100 hours of absolute fantastic experience. I'll pay $100 for that. 100%.
I would say even Destiny 2 for you put 600 and something
Oh,
hours.
yeah.
Like, that's probably $100 game. Like,
yeah, I end up paying a $40 a year for the expansion and whatever.
And again, $100 is top tier. Like, these are your like Zeldas. These are the ones that come around very rarely. When they do,
one a year.
They've got like
one
a
year,
team that
two a year
that spent like ages on the quality and stuff. It's like, you know what, throw them whatever. But next Madden game, $100.
Hell no.
And ain't happening.
I would even say next mainline Mario game. No, I'm paying 60.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's who determines that value. That's the issue.
The consumers.
And that's why I think
the consumers.
They'll find out very
quickly.
quickly.
The issue is you lead to inconsistencies, and that's why I think like expecting things to go the way you're saying it, like that makes sense. I'm cool with it. No big deal. But it's just not going to work the way you think it will.
Well, what will happen is
what do you mean it's not going to work the way I think it will?
Let's say a game comes out and it's $100, right? And you don't think it deserves it, and the consumer doesn't think it.
Yeah.
Wait 2 weeks, that thing's will be 90. Wait 3 weeks, oh shoot, no one's still buying this. It's 70. A million people start buying it at 70. A cajillion people start buying it. It's like, oh, that's the price point. You know what I mean?
I don't think it works that way. I think we live in cancel culture. So once someone once someone poo-poos on it, it's over. Like there's nobody covering it.
Well, I don't care if a game I don't like launches at too high of a price and then I don't buy it.
I don't know. I think I look at like where there's no standard. Like you just toss the standard out the window. Like at the standard, you know what to expect at $60. $60 should be a full game that's complete. Now, has that been happening? Heck no. No, the gaming industry sucks a little bit. But
Jake, go ahead.
But the problem is now we're trying to raise the prices, and to be honest with you, the standard's not worth the price raise.
Well, I think that a game should be complete also at $60, like you're saying. However, I think if you look at a game like Armored Core, for example, and then a game like GTA 6, they are in different orbits because
they should not be the same price.
They shouldn't be. They just
should
shouldn't
not
be the same price because the development time, the development cost, those are big factors. And when you're spending the amount of years that Rockstar and the amount of talent also at Rockstar, I think you should. I wouldn't be opposed. Now they might not go that route. I don't know. Maybe they're scared to do it too. But I'm not.
Well, their CEO was talking a year ago about he thinks that their games are high enough quality that you should pay per minute.
Now the consumer will fight. Like I just think that'll be memed to death, and you'll just not.
Well, and it was, and people said that's insane, and that's So I don't know, Jacob. You're saying that we're rock. I mean, all I'm saying is I think Rockstar can succeed at a $100 price point, and my evidence for that is people are out there, everyday people, spending $100 on games that they are looking forward to a lot, and GTA 6 is a game that is uniquely positioned to have a maximum number of people extremely interested in it. Like, people are out there paying $100 for Star Wars Outlaws on day one.
Yeah, and they're ignorant
and stuff, but they're doing it, and so I think GTA can get away with it day one. Now, beyond that, I am saying if the rest of the industry decides that they're going to try to put their games at 100, I think they're going to have a very, very bad time. Yeah. I think that they're lucky they're sitting at 70 and figuring it out. I think some of them should go back to 60. Maybe some of them can stay at 70 or push it to 80. But like, to me, it's like $100 for these Mona Lisa games. It's not even a question of if it's going to flop or not, because people are waiting on it, right? $80 for your Spider-Man or your God of War big game that comes out every 4 years or so. And then 60 for your Armored Core. Like, this is a complete game. It's got single player. It's got some online, whatever. Like, that's how I see it. Like, I see it as 3 tiers. Like, unbelievable level of quality that shouldn't exist. Like, that's Red Dead 2. That's GTA 6. That's and then you've got your game of the year contender types at 80 and 70, and then your whatever. But
we'll see.
I don't know. We'll see. If they launch at 100, we're gonna find out. Hey, Jacob.
Yo.
You want to make a bet?
No, I'm past gambling nowadays.
A bet. No money, just a bet. A friendly bet.
Okay, what's your wager?
I might join actually Travis's side on this bet this time.
GTA 6, if they launch at 100, day one, not any of this early access, we know that'll be. If they launch day one at 100, I believe they'll clear 15 million units week one.
I don't know. I would need education, but you're probably. Here's the thing. You're probably right. I'm not disagreeing whether or not you're right. I'm just disagreeing personally. I think it's stupid, which I'm allowed to have that opinion. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. I just think it's stupid.
Yeah, that's subjective. Yeah. You're allowed to think it's stupid, but is it stupid if they do it and then they make $1 billion and everybody's really happy?
Yeah, good for them.
About that,
the standard changed. That's what happened.
But why are you so worried about there being a standard? Because as Zach well point out, there didn't used to be a standard. That really kind of came in the Xbox PS2 generation.
Correct.
It wasn't a standard for a long time.
I just want it to be consistent where if I get a game, I know what I'm paying for. At least I'm getting it good. But like, that's not like that nowadays. Even now, it's not like it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just negative towards the whole gaming industry as a whole. So take that for what it is. But I'm just saying right now, there's not a lot of games that are worth the money they're putting them out for anyways.
You're let me know if I'm correct. You're more fearing like, let's say they bump these prices up to 90 and that's the new standard. You're going to see every game. You're fearing that like everyone's it's $90 now. That's what you're just going to pay for the new.
Yeah. And you're going to see they're going to put out Little Night. That's a 10-hour game. It's like, hey, $30. Like, holy crap, bro.
I got you.
I don't think they're going to get away with it because I think a lot of these companies are already hurting at 70. I am not buying as many games as I used to.
Me neither.
Dragon's Dogma and Horizon 2 have burned me.
Me neither.
I haven't even bought Final Fantasy Rebirth, and I know that's good.
Nope,
but
I haven't either.
I just was like, I already spent 70 on one game and didn't like it. I'll wait till later. I'll get it in the fall. And that's a game I would buy that and play that like immediately. And yeah, we used to like impulse buy $60 games. Like, oh shoot, it's up, and we can get it through the Best Buy for 53
because 70 is not just 70; it's more tax too because it's a higher thing.
Yeah.
So you're paying.
Yeah, it's $80 plus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of paying more and getting less, looks like the PS5 Pro leak, and someone saw the box. This is what I read. What was going on? But we just got a drawing. Some guy. It was a very good drawing. Sketched the PlayStation 5 from just like what he saw in the box. He saw the final box for the PS5 Pro, and it kind of threw things in a whirlwind because he's like, I couldn't see on this box the disk drive. And he was like, that doesn't mean, I want to reiterate, it doesn't mean it's not coming with a disk drive. There might be a different SKU that like doesn't have.
It's in the back.
Maybe it's behind. Maybe you have to reach behind and you got to do a reach around with your disc now. I don't know. But apparently this thing doesn't have a disk drive, but the sketch kind of looks like the Slim model, which the Slim model also does not have a disk drive. It has the plug-in thing that just snaps onto it, and you can add that like after the fact or whatever.
Could you imagine having an outside disk drive?
So people are saying that that's what this looks like. It might be compatible with that in the same way. It's kind of the same look to the PS Slim. So you might be buying a PS5 Pro, and I'm sitting here looking at my disc-based PS5 games, and it's like I'm going to have to buy DLC for the hardware. I'm going to have to buy the freaking disc drive. I'm just going to have to do it on top of that for $50 or whatever.
I'm going to break it to you right now. That thing is not going to have a disc drive.
No, yeah.
And you should have done what I've been doing.
Well, here's the thing.
This is my transition generation. I got one physical PS5 game over there, and I think it was a gift.
I have one too. It's Elden Ring. That's the only one.
And then, hold on, no, I got a gift. I got Madden.
You have
and then
two.
I have Final Fantasy Strangers of Paradise, because one day I was just in a bad mood, and I was at a GameStop, which I never go to, and I was picking up food. I was waiting on it. And I walk in there, and I just wanted to spend money, and it was like $28 or whatever. And I was like, "I'll buy this," and I bought it, and I've not even played it yet. It's like the worst.
I still don't feel
PS5
bad.
game.
I'm going to get this disk drive and smile and plug it back in. This generation, I'm still physical. You're gonna take me kicking and screaming. So, but I did laugh when I saw that. I was like, I'll be the last one off the ship before it sinks. So. Yeah. So I'll be buying that and the disc drive to play GTA 6 very soon. But
you know what, you don't need a disc drive to play.
You're crazy if you're not playing GTA 6 on a PC.
I'm playing on my PS5 Pro.
That's just wild to me.
For sure.
No way.
I actually don't know which one I will do.
Dude, GTA 6 on a PC is the only way to play that game.
I think I'm going to
Wait,
do PC.
is it going to come to PC on launch? They never put PC at launch. Rockstar never does.
Actually, you're right. It won't.
It's going to come to PS5.
I don't need to play that game at launch because I'm not paying $100 for it. So
it's PS5 and it's $100 at launch. You're definitely
Jacob. You're going to be paying $100 6 months after everybody else played it. That's what's going to happen to you.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. So
I'll be playing at PS5. Maybe on my Series S. Maybe after I talked all that crap, I'll play it on Series S.
We were talking Destiny. We were talking Destiny earlier. You put a lot of hours in. Bungie, they're going through. Going through some stuff right now. I'll let you do the honors because you're kind of the Destiny king.
Well, yeah, I don't think the layoffs happened right after our last podcast. I mean, anyone has heard about that. They laid off. Look, Bungie was a 600 or 500 person studio pre-COVID, like 2019. During COVID, they went through a hiring spree and got up to 1,400 employees.
That's a lot.
They over doubled.
Yeah,
and not all of them were working on Destiny.
No,
it leaked because basically what they were saying was they did a bunch of layoffs before Final Shape, and then they were like, if Final Shape does good, that's good because the studio's in trouble. And it did really good, and it didn't matter. They fired like 400, 500 people, and then like another 80 went to Sony and like a whole bunch of stuff. So there's a lot in there. Part of it is they were purchased by Sony, and so a bunch of employees moved to Sony, like HR, finance, accounting, like people that don't make games, that like are the support function of the studio. Hey, you know what? they don't need that
Yeah.
at Bungie. They've got it at Sony. They'll do your payroll, like they'll do your HR stuff, like So that was kind of coming anyway. But a big problem that was going on is they were making Destiny. They've been working on this game Marathon, which there's some news about that just came out this week. And then they wanted a third tent pole thing. Like they had this vision of, we want to have Destiny, Marathon, and then a third thing. And they wanted to kind of be like Blizzard, where it's like we got StarCraft and Warcraft and like Diablo. So they didn't know what their third thing would be. So they started 10 incubation projects of like teams of 10 to 50 people that were all making different other things. Like one was a third person action game in the Destiny universe that had like almost 100 people working on it. And it was like not a shooter, like that takes place in a different decade, like a different like century. Like that's crazy, right? One was called Gummy Bears, and it was like a MOBA. Like they described it as a mix of League of Legends and Smash Brothers. Like you run around and like you fight like with these move sets, but then you're like controlling lanes, so it's like action. And that game actually is still, Sony has taken that one over, and they're gonna finish that one and put it out. But they had 10 of these things going. So I don't have to explain to anybody that if you have 10 different projects going on and none of them are making any money, and you've got Marathon that's been in development for 6+ years and it's not out yet, and you've got Destiny, and every year you have less people playing it because it doesn't have a good new player experience. So every year you cannot sell more than you did the last year because only people can leave your game. You can't gain new people. That's a recipe for an absolute nightmare. And so that is why they had to lay these people off, is not because they weren't doing good work, and it's not because Destiny sucks or anything like that.
Because of Gummy
Final
Bears,
Shape,
dude.
it was great. It's because they were way over their skis. And when COVID happened and they had all that cash, they said, let's go. Let's ramp it up. Marathon will be out in 2022. Destiny's going to keep getting better. And Destiny didn't keep growing because they took out half the game. And Marathon never did come out because of something we'll talk about in a minute. And Gummy Bears and all these things, they never got to release. And so Bungie's in a bad place. They have to basically crush it with Marathon. I think that Sony spent $4 billion on Bungie. And all they've gotten so far is Destiny
Gummy Bears
revenue. And so it's not going good. Yeah, so there was a big exodus. I mean, they fired tons of people that were working on Destiny, not working on Destiny. So
well, on top of that, the
sad.
Marathon stuff that came out recently, they said that's in trouble. I don't know if you saw that.
Marathon is in a weird place. I'm getting weird vibes. I'm excited for Marathon, even in this moment. I'm excited. Marathon, they had an awesome reveal trailer like a year and a half ago, and then they had a Vidoc about it. And basically, if you've ever played an extraction shooter like Tarkov and stuff like that, it's a PvP with like environmental elements game where you basically drop in and you are trying to secure some kind of loot or whatever, and there's other people on the map trying to secure it, and it's like a race basically to get this stuff and get out. But it, basically in this Vidoc, they talked about like, you're going to make a character. It looked very cyberpunk. Like you're going to make a character. You're going to have equipment. You're going to build your build out. You're going to build your loadout, all this stuff. Well, what happened was like 9 months ago, they announced, the game went dark after that documentary came out. 9 months ago, they announced that there was a reboot on the game and that they removed the director, who I'll talk about in a minute. His name's Chris something.
Oh, yeah.
He's a guy that's been at Bungie forever. Chris something. And they brought in a guy from Riot, the guy that used to run Valorant. And that this guy was running Marathon now. And that Marathon was converting into a hero shooter format. No longer custom characters. And so as you can imagine, all the Destiny people that have been kind of getting excited for Marathon are like, hero shooter? Like, what? I want to make my own character. I want to, be my own like space pirate. I don't want to like they're used to Destiny, making your own character. And so the game has had weird vibes since that happened. And then it just came out yesterday or the day before that director that they removed him because he had like 8 sexual harassment cases
Yeah,
against
I saw
him.
8, and I was like, man,
Oof.
oh man.
8. And like just scummy stuff. He was married. It was really terrible. And so Marathon's in a weird place where like no one really knows what that game's going to be. They took the Vidoc down, which I was very excited. Like watching that Vidoc, I was like, "This looks
I loved
awesome."
watching that Vidoc.
I don't know. Now, the one thing that might save it is, and I do think there's some validity to this, is that the hero shooter thing. I read a thing where they were like, "Hey, that is kind of accurate, but kind of not." It's going to be kind of like Armored Core, where you are a character that lives off world in like a incubation chamber or whatever, and you basically buy these frames from these companies, and there are frames is the term I'm using. There are maybe dozens of these frames that have their own little loadouts, and those individual frames are all very unique, and they're like heroes in that they're like a defined set of abilities, kind of like a Warframe, where like
Okay.
there's 60 different things you could pick from. It's not like 8 and like there's the girl with the pink hair and the guy with like the tattoos, with the
Yeah.
shotgun. Like, so if it's that way, I think that can still work. That's fine. Give us a big variety, but it's weird. It's in a weird place. And this is all also while Sony put out Concord recently, which I don't want to like go through that all again, but like that's been a disaster. It's averaged 200 concurrent players on Steam since it launched. It launched at 600 concurrent players on Steam, which is, I know it's a PlayStation game. That's insane. Like that is less than Suicide Squad. It's very sad, but that game didn't really have a aesthetic that was grabbing anybody's attention. It looked like we have Guardians of the Galaxy at home, and like it looked like kind of Overwatch meets Guardians of the Galaxy. And the multiplayer shooter space is extremely hard to break into right now. You have to have something that grabs people by the balls and says like, "Hey, this is worth."
So
playing.
how
This
is
worth
Valve's
looking
new
at."
thing doing well?
Well, I was gonna just say before we get
what's
to
their
that,
formula?
because we'll get to that in a second. That one seems to be doing really well. It's got
how's that
thousands
working?
of players in beta. But I was gonna ask, did you guys see this Concord thing? And Bungie, Marathon, Destiny, Concord, the Sony live service thing. Like, where are you guys at on this? Because Sony has gone all in on live service, and it's gone all kinds of sideways.
No, I mean, live service sucks as it is. So
Yeah, I think people
it
are over
already,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
People are sick of having to spend more money on a game that ends up leading to spending, oddly enough, over $100, and it just not be worth it.
Well, I mean, Concord launched at 40.
Yeah, but then think about all the extra stuff they're going to add on to it.
Well, it's like Overwatch. It's just 40.
Yeah,
They're
but
not adding. They're not adding.
so it's not live service then.
No, they're adding content. They're not charging you for DLC. It's like Overwatch. Like you buy the game and then you have it. But the problem is that nobody wants to fork down $40 for this game. Like there are so many multiplayer shooters that you can play that you already own or that are free.
Yeah.
That like $40 is a big ask. Helldivers, though.
I was about to say
got away with
Helldivers. It worked for them. So what was the difference? I don't know.
I think that
Helldivers.
Helldivers was good.
Helldivers is.
I'm not going to say anything bad about Helldivers. I thought that game was a good game. It just
well, but you said live
keep me.
service sucks, Jacob. So like,
oh no, it does.
I'm not arguing. I'm interested. It's not as simple as live service sucks. What did you like about Helldivers that Concord doesn't do? I'm just curious.
I don't know what Concord does, other than the fact that you said it was a hero. I don't know anything about Concord. I'm just telling you, live service sucks in general. Like, my value in this is, like, I played Helldivers, and I was like, this was fun with friends. I had fun with it. I only played it 10 hours, but at the end of the day, I was like, that was fun. It could happen again.
I will say, I've only seen there's, like, a pink person on Concord. I couldn't tell you anything else about Concord. So maybe it's marketing, too, or, like, it didn't get enough buzz because, well, you said there's, like, 200 people total playing it in the world or something, but, like...
They didn't
Helldivers,
have a hook.
I was inundated with clips because a lot of people were
Yeah.
like, whatever. So maybe the clips are important. You got to get the streamers.
Helldivers had like a sense of humor that was working, and it's
Yeah.
a sequel. So
it doesn't
there
take
were
itself
that,
too seriously.
yeah, yeah. Concord, like that. Oh my god! At that reveal when it was like that CGI when they were in the bar and the girls talking to the guy. Did you watch that, Zach?
I don't remember it. I just remember the pink
Yeah.
person on the cover.
It's probably some quality, some marketing, some oversaturation of hero games, but I don't know. I just think it's interesting, and the reason I asked you guys is like when we saw that Sony was going in on live service, that's what we're getting this gen. Like we got a couple Spider-Mans and Horizons and God of Wars, but like for the time being, all Sony has is live service. Are you guys aware of anything else they're putting out this gen?
I mean, no,
No,
not that I know of.
games.
Astrobot's coming
They've
out
got
very soon.
Astrobot, I am looking for that. You're right. That's
Astrobot's gonna be
different,
cool in a
but
couple weeks.
anyway, I just thought it was interesting this live service checking in with it and where Sony's at with all this stuff. But
Hey, what have you guys been actually playing that hasn't been canceled or live serviced or $100? What have you guys been playing?
Frick, bro, that's a
What
good
are you
question.
what are you playing?
I haven't really been playing a whole lot. In my free time, I'm playing the new NCAA game that EA put out.
I've been
for
hearing
the
people
first
play
time.
about that.
Huh?
I said
The
I've been,
NCAA game.
Oh, NCAA.
Yeah, so like they finally put out a new NCAA game. EA did. It's been 11 years since it came out.
it's the same time GTA 6 development. They should charge $100 for that.
Yeah, bro, totally. People would have bought that. Though I'll tell you right now, it came out at the right time because it's not Madden, and they made it clear like this is not Madden. Like it was different. The issue now is Madden came out, and guess what Madden's like now? Ironically enough, NCAA, which it's just leads to the whole idea like you're just paying for the name. That's all it is.
Well,
and NCAA
can I
is
ask you a
fun.
question? Can I ask you a question? Because we played a lot of Madden. I played a lot more Madden last year than I've ever played because we played in that league. So when they showed the NCAA stuff, I never bought it, but it looked good and it looked like an upgrade off of Madden.
Oh yeah.
Did Madden like make those same upgrades? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
because it didn't
in some
look
ways,
the same
yes.
as Madden when it came
In
out.
some ways, they didn't. Let me give you the example. Like, they made things a lot quicker.
In Madden,
yes, where like normally NCAA's the quicker game. Like in the past, it's always been like NCAA's fast because they're young players. They always move fast. It's just a fast game. And like now Madden is trying to match that speed, and it's like, bro, you're not NCAA. Like, don't do that. Like, it's more tactical. It's supposed to be more strategic. It's supposed to be more putting people in position. But that's not really the case. Now Madden's leading into the whole, well, people like the fast pace. So let's just kind of, take that engine and run with it. And it's like, that's not what it. I don't think that's what most people want. They did do some stuff really good where like Travis, you might understand this a little bit better. But like let's say you do a post, Travis, and that post runs 7 yards. So it's up 7, out 7.
Yep.
So what you can do is something called custom stimming. Every route you can change what yardage they break at.
Oh wow.
So I can hold L1 and I can move that route up. So if I want that post to break at 15 yards, I hold L1, I tap up on the D-pad, and now that route breaks at 15 yards.
And is that any time or just with
anytime? It's like a hot
that
route.
adds a lot of depth. That's
cool.
So
like I was doing something I was doing a lot now is I run those curl routes, but I run them now like 15 yards deep instead of 5 deep because it gives off the look of a fade, but then they come back. So people who run a lot of cover 4 end up finding themselves in the back of the curl instead of being in front of it.
Nice. That adds a lot of detail. That's cool.
Now they did add something else that and again, this is where NCAA shined. They added something called shells, where basically you can show something like on the pre-menu, you can say, I want to show cover 0 whenever I'm in this formation. But in reality, you can pick whatever coverage you want. It's just always going to show cover 0. Okay. So you come out and
disguise your shell.
Yeah.
I did
So
my defense I ended up running last year. I basically did that like the stupid way because you could only do it a stupid way. Like I would set my secondary to stay in a position for a
mhm,
formation, but then pick a different play. Like I had to do
yeah.
80 different little things. So do I have to do less of those little things
Less. You just move the
pre-snap?
right.
Okay.
You move the right stick.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
you
cool.
do it right before you pick the play. So they did a lot of quality of life. And then Dynasty is just amazing. Me and my friend, we're on our 8th year of Dynasty. We already did 8
Oh wow.
years. It's
Wow.
30 years deep. So like you can go 30 years. It's just a really good game, and because it's not Madden, I think it just makes it a little bit more fresh. I'm not buying Madden
Okay.
this year.
Okay, you're not getting Madden this year.
No, I already got my football game. I have NCAA, and so like Madden for me was like my football game, and I don't need 2 football games. I don't need 2 games with just different names on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
I've heard people
wonder.
all over the place talk about this new college football game. Like I was on like job stuff with my job, and people were like asking each other, "Did you get that new one? Did you get that new one?" I was like, well, "These are just random people just asking about this game." So
Yeah, I wonder how many people will do what you did, Jacob, and just not even get Madden.
Well, I think this is EA's like feeling out point. Did they grow their player base or did they chop it? One of the things they're pushing hard in NCAA right now is their version of Ultimate Team, where like they're pushing like you can get the Tim Tebow or the Reggie Bush of USC, all these old college stars who didn't quite make it. Johnny Manziel of Texas A&M, players
Mhm.
that people don't want to play with in Madden, but they'll play in NCAA.
Yeah,
So
is this
like
still
that's
EA
cool.
that made this?
yeah, it's still EA.
But it's a different team at EA. I mean, it's
Okay.
still EA Sports, but like it's a different dev team.
Okay, at least that's the only competition you're getting between these.
No, it creates competition in itself.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. So
Okay.
I've been playing that a
Cool.
lot. Obviously Black Ops 6. I'll be playing the beta this weekend to try it out to see where I'm gonna feel about that.
I think we're all gonna get that. I think we're all hopping on
Dude, I'm
Black
telling you, I
Ops
played a
6.
match earlier today. The movement is crazy. You might puke.
Okay.
It's bonkers. It is the
Kenny's
most.
out right there on that note.
The only way for me to describe it is like when you play a shooter with like your controller, you can't sprint left and right without looking left and right, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this game you can do anything. It's 360, 100, like 100, like 360 degree of movement. You can sprint in any direction you want just by pushing the left D-pad.
Okay.
The left does stick. So now you have people diving backwards, spinning in the air, shooting the gun, and you're like, how do I? What? Like you can slide backwards, you can slide forward, you can slide to the left, right. You can,
Okay.
yeah, it's crazy.
Sounds
It's
fun.
it's the craziest looking game I've ever played.
And you're
I
playing
don't
it.
know if it's
You're
good or
playing it
not.
this weekend, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Cool.
be playing it throughout the weekend, just trying to try it out and see what it's like. But I'm getting
I
a
like
feel
what you
for it,
said.
and
I
I'm gonna
don't
like
know if
it.
it's good or not. That's amazing. That makes me want to play it. That's good advertisement.
Yeah, I mean that's all I can be on. I can't. I love Black Ops. I love Treyarch. I think Treyarch's amazing. I can't tell you if I'm gonna like this or not. So I mean, yeah. And then other than that, I'm in coaching. So I've been doing all that stuff. So I've been busy. It's just been a busy
Nice.
time.
Nice. What about you, Travis?
Earlier in the month, I was playing a little bit of Ace Attorney. Like that game. It's cool. It's a little Game Boy Advance game. Or I guess it might have been DS.
Let's do
Playing
yeah.
some Metroid Prime. Finally got my file back up and running. I was so stuck in that game, and like that's a hard game to get unstuck if you're coming back to it after months because you're like, where the heck am I? I'm in level 3 of this lava planet.
Yeah.
But I got it figured out and got it going again. But I haven't really touched those as much. I played them earlier in the month, had some fun. The game I've been playing, uh, it's been perfect for where I'm at in life, where I've got an hour at night. I've been playing Gran Turismo 7. And
Nice.
that game's really, it's just a nice little pleasant game to play. I mean, you've said that before. It's like the perfect dad game.
It's a perfect dad game,
Um,
yeah.
it definitely, like, I've been very busy with a couple music projects and stuff that I've had going on that, like, I haven't had a lot of time, like, energy to, like, think. I can't play, like, anything super in depth. So that game is good because, like, you'll get on and you go to this little cafe. This guy's like, okay, today we're gonna get
It's such an anti-game at certain
we're
points
gonna
like that.
it's and I think in another point in my life I would hate it.
Oh yeah,
But for where I'm at right now, they're like, okay, today you're gonna get 3 Japanese sports cars,
yeah.
and
And they tell you the
you're gonna
history about them.
go, and you do the 3 races, and you get the 3 cars, and you go to the cafe, and then there's a guy in the cafe like, oh, I was the lead designer for Toyota, and I recognize that car. Let me tell you, and it's just 3 little text boxes, and they do a little montage of the car, and he tells you about it, and so like it's just that on repeat.
Yeah.
So like I'm like 10 hours into the game. I've done like probably 20 of these things where I'm getting 3 cars, and then you go to do your race, and like they recommend 550 horsepower. My car is 500. I go to the tuning shop. I buy like 5 things. Now I'm at 550. Then I go do the race. Like it is just very buttery, smooth, and easy to just get in and out.
Yeah.
Now, what I will say is I had to turn my brain off immediately with this game in terms of do not have any aspirations of, oh, I like that car. I want to go get that. The cars in this game, I
It's so
don't know
expensive.
if it gets better later.
It does.
They
a little
are
bit, yeah.
comically priced. Like $1 million, 13 like $1.3 million for these like higher end cars, and like you don't have that kind of money. Now
Yeah.
I'm sure later you get more money, but there are tons of these cars, and they are not afraid to let you know. There's a little. It even looks like your Apple Card statement when you pull up your credits. There's always that button. Want to buy more credits, and you can go buy now. It's never progress blocking. They're always showering you with.
Now
new
it was
cars,
when it
and
launched, and I think they just they turned the
Okay.
dial down to where it's
they
like
turned it down.
they turned it down quite a bit, but it's still
I haven't had to
pretty high.
grind or anything like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's like they say you're going to go get these 3 cars. I go get those 3 cars. And I'm not a huge car guy, but we are actually looking to buy a car. We've been looking for the last year or so, and I've been kind of learning about Mazda and different companies. And so this has been perfect actually because
This is
I go through and I actually there's like this place called like the Brand Central, and you can look at the showroom models of all the cars, but there's a history thing in there for every one of these companies. So I actually went in and like I went to Chevrolet and I was like, okay, what do they got? What's their history? And it's like a slideshow,
yeah.
and they take you through like every major kind of thing they released, and it's like a little history lesson about them, like 50 slides or whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. I have a better understanding of some of these things of how this all worked. And I'll also say I like the driving in that game. It feels really
feels
good.
very good. Yeah.
And I've never really done this is more racing sim, whereas like Forza Horizon is more arcade. Like
yeah.
you just drift around in Forza. Like
This is
in the
Galaxy
in
Brain
Horizon.
level, like suspension you
Yeah.
can get, and this, and you can tweak, and this has to.
I don't
It's
even go
crazy.
into those menus, but I
pretty
have
crazy.
learned like in the license tests, I was being dumb. Like I was like slamming on my brakes and trying to
Yeah,
drift and
can't
like
do that.
losing control. I'm learning like you brake and then you turn and then you try to accelerate through the
Yes.
turn.
Through the turn.
The little coaching things have been really good. Like the license, like every few races, they'll be like, okay, you need a higher license. So then you go and they coach you on these license, like little
Yeah.
test runs, how to do things and how to get better. And I've been getting better. So that part's been cool, and learning a little bit of how to do all that stuff. So that's a fun game. I do like it. I bought it for like $38. It was on sale. That's a great price for
Yeah.
this game to just kind of have
I recently
fun
got
thing.
I don't know if you can see it in my. Oh no, I blurred my camera out, censored it. I got a racing wheel a couple months back. I haven't had a chance to try it, but now I have the PSVR 2, and I've got the racing wheel. I
Yeah.
just need to get one last little piece of Exodia, and it's the freaking the thing that you attach it to. I tried to attach it. I've never had one like this, a steering wheel. I just had one that kind of like sat, I think, on something, and it was heavy enough or whatever. I forgot what I've had before, but this one, oh, I know what it was. I've never had a force one that had like that much force into it. So what I did is I had a TV tray, and you tighten this thing, and it tightens under
Yep.
the underside, and it latches on there. So I did that, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna check this thing out. And dude, when I would like hit a wall or I'd hit grass or whatever, it was like jumping the tray. Like the entire flimsy TV tray was like Like I thought I was in an
Yeah, it was
actual car. Like
Newton's law got you on that one.
I was like
That's
physics. I
funny.
never thought of this. So I'm gonna have to actually get like one of those like metal things from like Amazon or
Oh
whatever
my
and stick that in the
gosh.
racing wheel. Then I'm gonna put the headset on, and I've heard that is number one to this day. The PSVR VR2
Yeah,
experience. It's
So
there's a lot of PSVR 2 games that are driving sims that
yeah.
you're gonna absolutely just adore.
Yeah, so I've had PSVR 2 with just the controller and playing, and I thought that was crazy, awesome. But
yeah.
I can't wait to
I
get
think
This was the
I think
first thing where I was thinking the PSVR 2 actually would be
yeah.
worth it for
And
this
they've lowered
game.
the price. Perfect time. They took $200 off the thing, so
I
How much
think
is it now?
it's 300 now,
Okay.
or maybe 350.
That is a good deal, but
I mean, a
I
lot
mean,
of people bought it.
you say
ever
that,
since it
but
went on
the
sale.
Meta Quest 3 is $299. So
Yeah, but
and
does
it has no
Gran
wires.
Turismo. It doesn't have Gran Turismo.
I don't need Gran it's
You
wireless.
need Gran Turismo.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a fun game. I'm gonna get back into that. When I get all that. I'm in a weird gaming spot. So I'm more into movies and shows and stuff I'm watching right now and finishing up a movie that we'll probably talk about in a second. But I, on Sundays, had a ritual for the past couple weeks where I'll come down to my CRTV. I have like in the retro area, old consoles hooked up. And I'll just boot up Super Mario 64. And I've been playing that on like Sundays. I'll turn all the lights out and I disappear for a couple hours down here. Like the baby's asleep, like everyone's chill in the house, and like I've just been sneaking and like playing Super Mario 64 and just like
nice.
that's been kind of fun to get back into.
That's cool.
And like trying to remember
far
like
are
how do
you?
I get the star? How do I get this? I'm just jumping around different levels and just kind of playing around and just, I don't even know if I'll 100% it. I've just been jumping around and just playing it. And
Super Mario 64 has such an intricate like movement system for only having one analog.
yeah, there's like all these like things I'll like hit, and they're like kind of tutorials. Like, hey, if you hit this 3 times and jump this, it's like, yeah, it's really crazy for the time. Yeah, for sure.
But it had one analog. That's the thing that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, it's so nuts.
Yeah. But that's
That game, there's a point about a third, maybe 2/3 into it. It goes galaxy brain with some of those
it goes
stars.
hard. It gets pretty hard.
I never got all of them as a kid.
I never got all the
did
stars
however
because
many.
the Rainbow Road was way too hard as a kid. I was like, I cannot. It was like collect all the 100 coins or the red coins on
Yeah.
that level. I think it might have been the 100 coins of that level. I
Yeah.
could not freaking figure it out, and I just kind of petered out. I did beat it as a kid, but I didn't 100%
Yeah.
like I thought I was going to. But I'm still playing for freaking Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I am now in hard mode. I'm finally
Oh my gosh.
going back and playing all the chapters on hard mode. But I think that platinum trophy, when I'm going to get the platinum trophy, I think that's harder than some Souls games, because there are like a myriad of challenges that are really, really, really hard that you just have to really
Yeah.
just keep playing, plus the time investment that I'm like all
Yeah.
these different Coliseum battles and stuff. It is like, I wouldn't say it's too much. I don't think that is, if it is optional, I will never like knock a game on that, because it's like, I don't have to be doing this. I just love that. But I will say, for someone that's like going through, it's like, this is a lot, but
Yeah.
I'd rather have this problem. And I've been telling people, I think I've been scaring people. It's like, you can really just play 30 to 40 hours and beat the game and be done with it. I'm just a psychopath. I love the world. I really love the combat system, and I want to beat these challenges for fun. Like, it's my extra thing to stay in the world. So I'm at like 130, 140 hours now of this game, and I'm still playing it. So I'm going back through and doing hard mode now. So
Nice.
it's really fun.
I have no doubt. Platinuming the Souls games is really not that much harder than beating them. It's
Yeah.
just you beat them 2.5 or 3 times, however many times you need to get all the items and
Yeah.
do whatever. You beat those games once, you've done the hardest part, because the second time you have all the knowledge of how you beat it the first time.
Yeah.
Whereas those games, you got all this extra stuff, and you got to do the hard mode of all the missions, and some of those bosses in those Final Fantasy remake games. Oh my gosh, they were hard on medium, and
Yeah.
the con berries and all this stuff. I can't not being able to use items and all this stuff. I can't
You
even
have to
imagine.
really be comfortable with the battle system, and there's even a level above me that like People have been putting on Reddit like these videos where it's like going in and they purposely make themselves 1 HP, and then they'll fight these bosses, and they'll beat them with 1 HP, and I'm like, yeah, you're like actually a tier above me. Like I didn't even know this existed. Like to play this game that
thing
level.
that drives me crazy in that battle system, like I get illogically mad, is when they turn you into a frog.
Oh yeah, you
They
gotta
turn
switch
you into
characters.
a-
They're dead
They
to me.
turn you into a frog, and I switch characters, and then that character becomes a frog, and then I take the third character and try to unturn them into frogs. And by the time I get everybody to not be frogs, I start going back to my fighting, and then someone's a frog again.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm always like, I'm over. I don't even know how you could do that without items. I don't even have a fraction of an idea, because I feel like I'm hanging.
You have
off
to
for dear
rely
life
on
then.
it. There's a move called chakra, and you have to level that up. And what that is it makes you self heal. So you
Okay.
have to just. I learned because I played Remake. I just started that from the beginning, and I actually I used items a lot at the beginning, but then once halfway through, I'm like, oh yeah, chakra, and I stopped. Actually, I ignored all the items and stuff.
Wow,
Getting ready for hard mode, coming up soon on that. But
that's the way.
that's the way.
Chakra.
Yeah. TV. Been watching some TV.
I've been watching Survivor like crazy.
Yeah.
We've watched like I want to say this past month almost 9+ seasons.
Oh my gosh, you survived that many.
I think it's just like it's like our guilty pleasure. Like when we have nothing going on, we just sit down and turn on Survivor and we bust out episode after episode after episode like it's nothing.
Yeah, that's
Um,
probably a good bingeable kind of show.
but like even going back and rewatching it, cause like I watched it growing up, and you remember like Rupert and some like the Johnny Fairplay, like some of the legends of that
Yeah.
show. But watching it now, it's like, man, they said things that was crazy, like things you could not say today.
Different time.
And it's like
in
reality
2000s,
show,
yeah.
and I'm like, did he just say that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sitting there, I look at mine, I was like, he really just said that. Like that's nuts. But then all it confirmed in my heart is that like if there wasn't an element of actually like having to live on the sand, I'd love to play a game like that. I would love
You would win
love.
Survivor, Jacob.
I think Jacob would win. Jacob would win.
I think I would be gone in the first 3 days.
No.
You would win. You would win because you're really likable.
I think you got that
You're also-
charisma, and I think you
got
have
the
the sneaky.
charisma.
You've also got the sneakiness to you.
Yeah, and you also are strategic, and
Yeah.
you want to win, and you would win.
Now
You won
I also
Homecoming
see.
King, Jacob, you won Homecoming King.
That
in
means
like a high school of
nothing.
like 400 people. No, I mean
Yeah.
it does mean something. Like, and you weren't like the quarterback or something like that. Like you have a good way with people, and you would destroy in that game.
I also do see though there could be an episode like towards the end where people are like, he screwed me over. Yeah, he screwed me over too, and then you might get plotted.
That's the thing
against.
though.
You might get
The
plotted
element
against.
of the game is how you sell it at the end. So here's how, I don't know if you guys remember it, but like when it gets to like the final 10,
Yeah.
the 7 people become the jury, and they're the ones who pick who wins Survivor.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you screw over members of the jury, at the end they determine if you get $1 million or not.
Yeah.
And I was telling Maya, I was like, what would I say to them? Because at the end they make a pitch. All the guys, they make a pitch to them. And I was sitting there, I'm saying, I'm sorry you weren't good enough to see it coming. That's probably what I have to say. Because at the end of the day, like, you have to own what you did. You can't
Yeah.
just dance around it. You
Yeah.
can't beg for forgiveness. You
Dude,
own
That's
it.
what makes that show
Jacob-
really good. Yeah. Those
Jacob, you
elements.
should try out for Survivor.
I'd lose
bet they'd take
100.
you.
39.
bet
I couldn't
they'd
make
take
39 days. I couldn't make it. Couldn't make it.
Really?
You'd make for good TV.
Dude, think about it. Like, think about me living on the land. I'd be the fattest person on Survivor history.
I think you could do it.
I think you could do it.
I think you need to
I
start
absolutely
thinking about
think-
this.
You need to do this.
And then our podcast, we would talk about
Oh,
each
dude.
episode as it came
Oh,
out, and you'd have to
dude,
stay
yes.
quiet because you'd already know what had happened or whatever. But
You're like, can you
I
believe
think you
Jacob
should just-
convinced them? Oh my gosh, that'd be nuts.
You should,
I'm holding
you
that.
should
I
submit.
think
You
you
should
should do
submit a
that.
casting video to them. Just see
Zach,
what's the worst that could happen. They say no.
Zach, let's make a casting video of me in a kiddie pool filled with sand.
So I can do this.
I'm
This
gonna
is
stay-
easy.
I'm gonna stay in this kiddie pool for a week straight outside, and prove why I should be on Survivor.
If you actually did want this is a possibility, is what I'm saying.
It is. Yes, you could be.
Because you would be entertaining on the show. I would love to watch.
Yes, if I turned on Survivor and you were on the screen being you, dude, I would stop and say we gotta watch this.
Yeah, yeah.
If I didn't know you, I'd be like, what?
Please think about this. Is all I'll say.
We'll see. We'll think about it. It should be
Bring it up to Maya, and I wonder.
Yeah.
Actually, she'd probably please don't do this.
Maya's argument is that the surviving nature of it will kill me. She said the bugs.
I don't think so.
Like, fine.
I think once you get there and the competitiveness or whatever, that stuff, that stuff drifts
away. That would
away.
take over.
Right now, it sounds like hell, and it is. But I think that stuff would whisk away when like the competitiveness nature would kick in on you.
It would be an experience.
Well,
you've got to do this.
Just think about it. Look into it at least, and let us know next podcast.
Let's look into it. If I send a text out saying let's get a kiddie pool, we'll know we're serious or not.
Okay, next podcast. Yeah, I'll help you do whatever. God Almighty, yeah. Next podcast, let us know. We'll follow this journey of Jacob on Survivor.
Oh, that'd be legendary.
Cool. I watched something that both Jacob and Kenny have not stopped talking about. Me and Chelsea are in season 3 of The Bear.
Oh, about freaking time.
So, do you want the good or the bad?
Okay, give me the bad. Go ahead and give me the bad.
This is Jacob's leftovers.
I overall do not like this show.
That's crazy.
I think that this show is so bad to me. I think it marks the end of the golden age of television in some ways.
Wow.
Me.
Yeah. I'm not seeing this. I'm just so happy because this is the energy I had about the leftovers.
This show had me scratching my head at times of like, what are we doing? Like, what are we waiting for? I was waiting for that moment to come up to where I would like the show. Overall, poo-poo pee-pee, but there are, then we'll get to the good stuff. So the redeeming good stuff. I do like that the show, more than other show have done this, but not to this point, the show does play with the format of TV in a very refreshing way. And what I mean by that is there are some episodes that are a freaking hour. And there's a lot of episodes that are like 27 minutes. And there's like some that are 45 minutes. There's some that are back to 27. This is how long we need to tell this story for this contained thing in episode. So I like that they change that format and that they do change up the feel of the show, more so than other shows that I've seen recently. So I do appreciate that. And there's certain episodes that stand out. There was an episode where, and you probably know this one, where it's a flashback scene where and Kenny said I would like this, and I did like it more than the others, where it's like kind of a flashback episode to this main character, and you get to see kind of why he is the way he is with his family. You get to see like a family. It was Christmas. It was a Christmas dinner, and things kind of go pretty freaking chaotic towards the end.
Dude, nuts.
And you get to, and great acting. And they had they had Bob Odenkirk. They had freaking what's the freaking Jamie Lee Curtis is in this.
Yep.
So there's like a powerhouse of like acting in this, and it's a good episode. And again, that format is unlike the other episodes and stuff. So I do want to commend it for that. My problems lie in that, number one, and Chelsea kind of has the same issue with it. She actually likes it more than me. She likes it a lot more than I am, the show. But the character I just don't like is Sid. And Sid is like, okay, you're going to do this now? All right, I guess we're doing this. And that is her acting throughout the whole thing. Okay, wait, are we doing that? Oh, okay. That's the whole show with her. I don't like when she is acting and interacting with the character, the main character. I don't know. But There are other like there. I'll go back to good. We'll just valid. We'll flow through good and bad here.
What I heard so far was you don't like the show, but you like that some episodes are shorter. That was what I heard.
No, I liked the longest episode or whatever so far. Like I like
Okay.
that they play with the format and they don't like they tell the story that they want to tell, however long it takes them. And then if it's short, they don't like take something that's 30 minutes and need to make it an hour. There's been some standout acting moments with the main character Carmi. He is the main chef that's running this.
He's from
restaurant.
Shameless.
Oh, is he? This is the first time I've
Yes.
seen him from something, but there's some amazing acting. Like he had to he's kind of in like a not a recovery, but like what is that called? Like a because his
Like
brother
a grief,
grief or
group?
whatever. Because his brother committed suicide, and he's in this grief counseling kind of thing, and he does an amazing monologue in that goes on forever. So like acting and all this other stuff, like there are some standout moments of the show, but I do feel that I'm not connected to a lot of characters. Like there's like one character that like they're all very one dimensional. There's not a lot of I'm in season 3 now and there's not a lot going on. Whereas like in season 1 of Lost, like you are like really learning deep about these characters and there's a lot of like complexity of these characters. And I don't need like a chef show to be complex, but I need it to be more than 1 degree, like one level of like literally one character is like doesn't want to change and they left and now they're back because the other character said, I will teach you and you can do this. And he said, okay. He is
See,
like,
this is where
it's just
like. Are you on season 3, Zach?
I'm in like 2 episodes into season 3.
Okay.
But
Okay.
like that one character just did not have whatever. I will say, and I'll say actually one character has only had an arc this far. That has had like any growth whatsoever. I think no character has had any growth except for one, in an interesting way.
Was it his cousin?
Is it Richie? His cousin?
Yeah, Richie.
Yeah.
So
I think only he is like kind of he doesn't know where he belongs. He's kind of like almost seems like a high school dropout kind of guy. They're all cussing. He just doesn't know how to do anything, but he's trying to help his cousin run the restaurant, but he thinks he's kind of leading the restaurant. He doesn't know where he is supposed to be. They want to redo the restaurant. They get the money to do it, and he gets sent off to like this fancy restaurant to learn skills. Basically, he doesn't know what he's doing. They've ran this restaurant a very ragtag, like not like professional way, and he gets sent away.
It was a beef sandwich shop.
Yeah, and he comes back in a suit. And he's like very professional, very like you get to see him like moving the forks and things have to be exact now and whatever. And he has like an amazing transformation while still like being like, hey, F you and F off kind of thing. And I was like, that is a good transformation. Don't see that in any of the other characters and don't have any relationship with any of these other characters whatsoever. I don't really like, I'm just watching a show. I'm not really watching anything really happen to this point. I don't know. But yeah. I did watch it, though. I did watch it, Jacob. There are some good qualities. I did say this was the end of good television. Like, this is the end of the golden age. I was thinking that when I was watching it because I watched, like, the shows that come before it, Sopranos and Breaking Bad and all this other stuff. And I'm like, this is what people, like, talked up as, like, this mega show and stuff. And I'm like, this is the hype show. Because a lot of people are still watching. A lot of people still love this show. And I'm like, is this it, huh? Like... Because, like, I would actually compare it to, in a way that I think is better than this show, is Succession. This show, and this was my first complaint with The Bear, they do a very good job showing the stress of running a restaurant. And all the people that have ran in like in restaurants and stuff know that it is high like stakes and every minute counts. Like you have to do all this stuff. You're screaming at each other. It's very hard business to be in. On top of that, there is like stress and like fights that you get into or whatever. And this show doesn't, how can I say this? I was like shocked and really like taken out of the experience of like the fights because they are like going at it with each other. Because one episode they'll be like, F you, I'll kill you, blah blah blah. Like they're going at it so high level, like just so high energy. I mean, F you and whatever and blah blah. And then they'll just keep working with one another. And then another episode will go, and maybe this is why I don't like Sid, because she was a part of this one. F you and whatever, and we have to go, and we have to effing go. Throw that away. You did a terrible job. Do it again. And something that was normal, like an episode before or like a moment before, Sid will go, whoa, 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 like I'm out, like I'm quitting, and she'll just leave, or like characters will leave and like they're done. And it was like, I'm not understanding the relationship, because like 1 second this is okay to be like F you and I'll kill you, and then the next second they're like shocked that person said that.
So
And
Travis,
I'm taken
you worked at a
aback by
restaurant,
that.
right?
What's that, Jacob?
Did you work at a restaurant for a little bit?
Yeah, I worked at restaurants from like 15 till I was probably 21,
So
22, 23.
restaurant culture is extremely high demand and high stress.
Yeah.
And so like your job is just to get through the night. Like that's
Yeah.
all you want to do. So whatever's said to get through the night is almost like forgettable. Like you almost like just say, just move past it.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, what I hear Zach saying is
They
I
don't
haven't
forget
seen the
it.
show.
Sometimes.
Well, what I hear Zach saying is that when you're watching a show, like they're presenting a world to you, and that for a number of episodes they're presenting a world where that kind of over the top language and being really brash with each other is normal. So Zach's starting to say, okay, this isn't a problem in this world. Okay, got it. I
Yes.
understand this world.
Yeah.
Then episode 4, the same type of interaction happens, and it's like the person's like, you've crossed a boundary now. And that seemingly wasn't a boundary for the first 3 episodes. And I think, Zach, what you're saying is it's not that it's not believable. That's not what you're saying. What you're saying is it creates a tonally confusing,
Yes.
like you don't know what you're supposed to make. And I will say, I understand what you're saying, and maybe you understand at least where I was coming from, not to bring it back to Leftovers.
Oh no.
These were the types of things I had a hard time with that show with. It wasn't that I was trying to nitpick. It wasn't that I was trying to say things were realistic or not realistic. It was that me as a viewer, I couldn't get a read on what the tone was supposed to be and what these people
I get
were,
that.
what
Yeah.
they were or were not okay with. So I can relate. Now, I haven't seen The Bear. I might watch The Bear and Jacob be with you. But I think that's what you're saying, Zach. It's not that
I was
it's
confused
not
at the
realistic.
stakes. The stakes.
It's
Because
that the stakes are unclear. Because
Yes.
this and that was
because
some
when they're
of what
always
I
saying
went through
like
with the
F
Leftovers,
you,
yeah.
like effing throw it away and never, I don't like go over here, that kind of became normalized. And I was like, okay, then that's like whatever. But then like the next episode, it's like you can't say that now.
Yeah.
And why are they leaving? They quit. Oh my god! Like they
Yeah.
quit over that. Like, and it wasn't even a thing of like, I don't know. It just was presented in a weird way, to where it's like, where Succession, you know where the stakes are at, and when they do have a fight, you feel like 9/11 just happened. Like, and you are just sitting in that drama, and you're like, I can't like look away. Whereas like this will happen, I'm like, wait, was I supposed to feel this way? Because I'm like, what happened? Like, why are we mad? Or like,
Yeah.
like I got confused. But so tonally, that was whatever. And I think Succession did a lot of stuff way better than The Bear in that regard. I compare it that because they both have high like F you and I'm gonna whatever, and they both kind of have an element of that. It's just the stakes and they ramp up differently, but not all bad. And I'm still watching. I'm still watching season 3. We're like I said, 2 episodes into season 3, but
I haven't seen The Bear. Jacob, I am curious your thought on Zach's kind of place he's at on it. The only thing I could think maybe they're going for with something, again, I haven't seen it, is I will say sometimes in life, something is normal, it's normal, it's normal, and then somebody hits a breaking point that's unexpected.
yeah.
So if that was the case, I'd imagine then the episode would be about, well, what did I say? Like they would confront that. Like
I thought that
like
too.
The character would
Yeah.
say, hey, we talk this way all the time. And then the girl would be like, well, you fucking talk that way, but I don't talk that way, and it wears me down. And then you've got some drama because it's like, okay,
yes. And
it's shocking. But they didn't seem to do that. It sounds like it just moved on.
What I would have done differently is like Sid is the character I'm talking about that fought with the main character, Carmi or whatever. The issue here's how I would have fixed it. If they would have just showed like more drama in her life or something underneath that, and then got in the because that's when the show is actually good, is when there's something underneath and there's something he's working against or something that's in his head as he's cooking these things. that becomes like, okay, now you're blending like real life with this food and this like what you're actually doing, and there's different layers to what you're speaking on. She just freaked out, and it was like, you didn't earn like that. Like there wasn't enough like ammo in the
And
clip or
that's why in
something.
the leftovers it pissed me off when Nora freaked out for no reason and disappeared for 5 episodes because he was talking to himself in his sleep, because they had long since proven in the leftovers that Nora and the main guy had a very close dynamic and could talk about anything, and she knew he was crazy. So what you're saying is exactly why the leftover stuff was driving me crazy. I'm just telling you that because I felt the same way with that show of like Nora and this guy, like they've got a connection. They can talk about anything. He says one thing and then she disappears for 5 episodes because he freaked her out. And it's like, where did that come from? So sorry, I'm hijacking this. I just needed to say that, and to say that I get what you're saying, Zach, of like, for this show for you, and I might watch it and love it.
Yeah, you might be, because I didn't feel that way about leftovers, but I feel this way about that. I can see why you might, if you don't get the tone, if it doesn't come across or whatever. But I don't know.
And it's like missing a bus stop. Once you miss the first bus stop, then the second bus stop, you're late for that one, and it can get off the rails quick on a show for you personally when it's not connecting.
But I'm still watching it. I'll let you guys know what I think of season 3. There have been some really cool shots, really cool scenes in it. But yeah, it takes place in Chicago, so a lot of Chicago stuff. And I'm like, hey, we've been there. I've been pointing like, oh yeah, we hung out there.
I was just there.
Chicago. So
maybe that's why they're all mad. Jacob, you love the Bears, so like, is this taking you by surprise?
I mean, a little bit, but it's not like the end of the world. Like, it's a preference thing. In my opinion, like, Sid's like that because Sid doesn't know any better. Like, she's learning everything. She's like, maybe this is just how things are. And then season 3 does some stuff that like kind of brings it to light a little bit more.
Okay.
In my opinion. So again, I think watch season 3. Maybe your opinion on Sid will change a smidge. Doesn't mean she becomes this almighty.
A smidge about Sid.
Huh?
I said a smidge about Sid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So that's it. I mean, other than that, like Carmi, I love Carmi. Carmi's like one of my great actor, one of my favorite characters. I do not love some of the comedic reliefs in the show, like the Frankie and them.
Yeah.
But like they get more spotlights in season 3, and it's like but they have a lot of guest appearances in season 3. Like a lot of guest appearances.
Yeah, I would say the humor all fall flat. Every single thing falls flat with me. I don't know. I maybe laughed once, twice, maybe during this whole show, but
I think the episode you talked about, the Christmas one, that one right there is one of my favorite episodes. Like honestly, it might be one of my favorite episodes of TV.
Yeah, that was well done.
Like it did the job of how tense and how awkward and how like loving and how like families are. And I was like, man, this is TV. Like this is entertaining.
Yeah, that was a good episode for sure.
So that's just my opinion. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it's a good show, Travis. I do think you should watch it. It doesn't take a lot to watch, in my opinion. It's not like I do think you need to pay attention, but like it's not like it's a very long show at all.
Okay. You and Kenny have recommended it for a long time, so I do think eventually I'll probably check it out. But I have to finish Dragon Ball first.
Amen.
And I've been watching that show for like, I was telling Jess, I started that when we still lived in our apartment in 2019. I am slow. I am just so slow with finishing. I was still watching JoJo's back then too. So I'm watching Dragon Ball. I am speeding up though. I've gone through like 30, 40 episodes in the last 6 months probably. But I'm watching the Fortune Teller Baba saga.
Some of the stuff I don't know. You've lost me.
Fortune Teller Baba is
dude. Fortune Teller Baba.
It's something. Basically, the Red Ribbon Army saga, that lasted like a long time. Goku fighting against the Red Ribbon Army, trying to get the balls. And I thought by the end of 3 seasons of Red Ribbon Army, he'd have all 7 balls, but he doesn't. He had 6. And they think they can't find the 7th ball because the ball tracker Bulma made it can't see it, and they think that's because something swallowed it, and if it's in something's stomach, her thing won't help
Oh,
them find it.
so yeah, they have to
So
nip
Master
out of their
Roshi
stomach.
said, "Well, you should go see fortune teller Baba. When I can't find something, I go to fortune teller Baba, and she tells me where it is, and it's fine." So Goku and Yamcha and Krillin, they all go to see fortune teller Baba, and fortune teller Baba is this old witch, and she's got like 8 people you have to fight and beat to for her to tell your fortune, and it's just a whole season of them fighting these people in her castle. So like it's just like, one episode they defeat a guy, then they introduce the next guy, then they fight for an episode, then the next episode they defeat it. It's just kind of like a very procedural kind of a thing, but it's fun and goofy, and it's kind of my late night show I'll throw on, or if we're in bed I throw it on, and Jess likes it too, and it's just good kind of. I don't have to think too hard. When I first was watching the show, I was trying to really like watch and like catch everything, and now I'm like I got it. Like we're gonna fight the vampire guy now, and then we're gonna go do this, and then we're gonna go do that. But I like Dragon Ball. It's become a comfort show, and I'm enjoying going through it. And
Are you
I hear
still
it gets really
listening?
good after the fortune teller Baba
Yeah,
saga.
no, you are you're in a sweet spot. Dragon Ball for me doesn't have a lot of dips. Like if it dips, it's for a little bit, but then it
Yeah,
starts skyrocketing again.
it's at a
Um,
good like base level. Like this is
yeah,
still fun to watch. Yeah.
yeah. I think my dip for me I remember correctly was when they were on the way to the I guess I want to say prison, but not the prison in the beginning of it. Um,
Okay.
if you know what I'm talking about.
With the Ox King.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that. That is a
So
bit of a
like,
dip.
but the tournaments are great. Every time they have a
The tur-
tournament, it just has you glued to that tube.
that's kind of what got me stuck on the show was the second arc is the tournament saga. And I just
Yeah.
loved it. I loved it. It was fun. And then Red Ribbon Army, I was a little iffy, but it got better. The
Yep.
middle of Red Ribbon Army has a rough few episodes. Like Goku, like gets lost in the jungle and like hanging out with these
Hmm.
monkeys. Then he's up on this like snowy, like winter, like town with like no one you know. Like that show is the best when you've got Goku and Bulma and Yamcha and Krillin and they're all together. Every time at the new season, they're like, all right, I'm going home. And they all like go. And I'm like, no, like now we're going to have like some people I don't know for a while. But
What do you think of
yeah,
Yamcha?
he's just a goober. He's just a
Yeah.
goober. Like he's, he is like, if you were a kid, you'd think he'd be the strongest guy, but he's not. But he's not terrible. He's just average. He's just an average fighter. He always takes on a guy he can't quite beat, and then Goku comes in and beats him easily. And
Yep.
but he's likable, and him and Bulma have the fun kind of like back and forth kind of thing of like they kind of like each other, but they kind of don't get along. My favorite Yamcha thing is when Bulma like and they all leave and Goku like they all go to like basically somewhere else, and then Goku shows up in like the town Bulma lives in, and he goes like Bulma's house, and
Hmm.
her dad's like rich, so they have like a mansion, and like Yamcha and like and what's the little pig guy? They're
Oolong.
like living, yeah, Oolong. They're like living in a room in like Bulma's house, but like Bulma and Yamcha have broken up. But the
Yep.
house is so big, it's like a J-Lo house. Like the house is so big that they still just live there. And it's like hilarious because it's like they're these deadbeat, like, like people with no jobs that just live in Bulma's house now because they
Yeah.
used to date. So that made me laugh a lot. But yeah, I like the whole crew. Yamcha's funny, and I did get a little spoiled. I saw like randomly like an episode of Dragon Ball Z. It was on like a YouTube thing I was watching where it was like
Oh
an
no.
archive of like Toonami Full Cycle. It wasn't anything bad, but Yamcha was in it. And like I don't know, I don't know. He fights a guy and it doesn't go well for him. So I don't know if it's final. I don't know. But I was laughing. I was like, Yamcha is still out here in Dragon Ball Z, and he had like really long hair. He looked like a crazy person. I was like, man, what happened to Yamcha? He just looks crazy. And then Yeah, so I got a little bit of a flavor of what Dragon Ball Z is like, seeing that and Bulma, and they were all at Master Yoshi's house watching a fight on TV of like Yamcha and these alien looking guys. And so I thought that was cool. It got me kind of interested of like, okay, like this is all going to pay off when I get to Dragon Ball Z. Like I'll know all these characters. It's going to be like, I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to be fun. So
Yeah, no, for sure.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So that's where I'm at in Dragon Ball.
Hey, big month for movies.
Big months. Big months.
Big month.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about one and a little bit more about another that I watched this month.
Okay.
I watched Challengers with Zendaya. Is that her name?
Yes.
The not Dragon Ball, Spider-Man girl.
Spider-Man girl.
Zendaya.
This is a movie about two tennis players that grew up with one another, friends, growing up or whatever. Or no, I think it was like college and stuff. No, it was high school, and play tennis together. One gets with this girl Zendaya, and then the one that got with Zendaya is like kind of losing kind of interest in tennis, and Zendaya needs to find out how to like get him motivated. So she kind of pits them against each other in a way, and tries to like reflame like the love of the game for him with tennis or whatever. But you've probably seen, if you saw the teasers for this, you might have seen little threesome.
Yeah, there was a little three player activity.
That is quite the scene.
I just remember that happened, and people were like, "Man, I feel for Tom Holland right now."
No, but this movie, man, like you don't know how it's gonna end, and that is such a cool like. You're just tense towards those like the last act of this, and they do an excellent job. The cinematography for being a tennis movie, they just go any crazy thing they can think to how to shoot a tennis movie and stuff. It's just really really well done. I think the soundtrack was was it Tool or somebody else? Somebody I think in that vein or whatever. I think it was Tool or whatever did the soundtrack, but really cool. Talk a little bit more about this next one.
Oh, Trent Reznor.
Trent Reznor, sorry, yeah.
9 Inch Nails.
9 Inch Nails, that's who I thought. I always get those mixed up. Yeah, he did an excellent job soundtrack too. So I recommend it, but don't let your wife walk in when you're watching a movie.
That's probably be expected.
Aggro Drift. I saw a movie called Aggro Drift. This is Harmony Korine, who made Gummo, freaking Beach Bum. You've probably heard of Spring Breakers. So I love this director because I've watched his movies. He made a movie called Julian Donkey Boy, which I was ready to give a 0 or 1 out of 5, and it became a 5 out of 5 for me. This guy has a way with making movies where I just am like over it. I'm just sick of it, and then it just clicks, and I like adore the movie. So this was one of those. I wouldn't give it a 5. I think I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. I believe that's the score I gave it, but I still had I had a great time. The premise and the kind of gimmick of this film is it was shot entirely in thermal vision.
I'm seeing the screenshots right now, and I was like, what am I missing here?
You will go on a journey with this film. This film is absolutely crazy. Aesthetically, it is unbelievable from beginning to end because of they're able to play with so much with the thermal in such interesting ways that I was glued to the screen, and my eyes burnt out of my freaking head from staring at thermal for an hour and a half. But the thing that was crazy to me in this film, and that's why I was kind of over it, and then I kind of got back into it. But the thing you have to know going into this film is like a lot of it is just like scene after scene. Like they'll just do it every other scene. Like the main guy has a bit of a Spanish accent, but he does this every movie. Like certain movies will be like this in this art space. My goal is to go and kill the man. Because it's an assassin. His whole thing, the whole premise of the film is an assassin. He has to take down this like gang overlord that's demonic. This demonic gang Look at this guy over this gang, and I must kill him. I am going to kill him. My goal, I must find him and kill him. And that will go on for like 5 minutes, and you're just so sick of it, and then it clicks with this world. You finally are just swallowed up. I think you just get swallowed by this film that I freaking loved this film so much. So, but I give it a 2.5 because it's like it doesn't like it's so one dimensional. It's just aesthetically is just a really cool thing. They actually it took me a long time to find this film. I got this film, through means, because the way they debuted this film was through an LA strip club. You had to go to LA and go to the strip club. That was the only place showing it. So people online were like, "How do you watch this film?" And they were like, "Sorry, dude, should have gone to the strip club." But, yeah. So this director is like one of my favorites. But 2.5, good time.
That's crazy. I just am blown away when I was looking at the footage. It's just I can't imagine editing something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Cool.
That's all for me. There was one other one, but maybe we'll talk about it here in a second. But
well, I was gonna say I saw a very, very impressive indie film.
Oh yeah, what was that?
It rhymed with strangle, or no, synonym was strangle.
Bojangles?
But close. It was sponsored by Bojangles.
When you said it rhymed,
you should put that on the poster, Zach. It rhymes with strangle.
It rhymes with strangle. That is a funny tagline. We were like, no, it doesn't.
People believe it though.
Yeah,
maybe.
We went to a film premiere.
Yeah, we went to a film premiere. First one ever.
For my first one. No, I thank you guys for coming. And I've talked about this on the podcast for the past 2 years now, that I've been working on a film, and it's finally premiering soon, and we're going to be putting it into film festivals. But you guys got to watch it. We had a private little premiere for that thing. So thank you guys so much I haven't got to talk to Jacob at all. I got to talk to Travis a little bit, but thank you, Jacob and Maya. Came out.
No, absolutely, man.
Appreciate
I think for you, just congrats. I'm glad you finally got to get it done, and I know for you, it's been a long time coming.
Yes, over 2.5 years of just writing it, coming up with ideas for it, sitting down doing the script, and then going through the production, post-production.
So now that you're done, now I get to have my own Q&A with you, because let me just tell you, if you're listening to the podcast right now, Zach did a great job with everything that
it was great. I absolutely loved it. I just wanted to say that too, and congratulations, Zach. It was such a great experience watching that in the theater with everybody.
It was absolutely cooked, cooked with it. Now that's done, all right. Now that you're like, okay, I'm finally at the end of this. What's in your brain for next?
I do know what I'm gonna do next.
And I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes that's how people are. They think well, what's next? And I just want to know what's in your brain.
That I do have something. I'm not quite ready to talk about it yet, but it will be shorter. My biggest challenge is making smaller things. I used to kind of do that with our little videos on YouTube, but I just got too big for my britches, and I just wanted to my vision kept getting exploding. And that's kind of how the videos though were on YouTube. They started out 3 minutes and they got 10 minutes, and then I made a 30-minute thing, and this was the natural progression. But I want to hit the brakes a little bit and figure out a smaller scale thing. So I'm looking at 45 minutes, 30 or 45 minutes or under is I have to gradually come down and make a shorter thing. So because this is an hour and a half, this was an hour and a half full featured film, and I want to figure that out. I want to go back to that, but because it just
Well, let me do this. Before we talk about the next thing. Choke is the name of the movie.
Yes, Choke is the name of the movie.
We went to the premiere. It was an awesome, fantastic day. It's coming out locally in a theater here. What's the September 7th, right?
Yeah.
So,
but
if you do live in the Cincinnati area, you can find Choke Film on Facebook, and there may be tickets still available. There may not be. And then probably the movie will come out on some form of digital,
Yeah.
availability at some point. Is that correct?
Yeah, next year is when we're trying to get on streaming and stuff, but
Yeah. So for like release purposes, like IMDb wise, it's technically a 2025 film. Is that accurate?
I don't know what you would say because I've seen some films it's like that came out in a limited release, that's their release. So like I
That's their
did
release.
technically
So
release 2024.
2024.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Either
What
way,
it's 2025
later
wide
this
release.
year,
Let's just say that.
later this year, early next year, it's something that you guys, anybody watching this can watch. And I mean, just to brag on you for a minute, Zach, I mean, the movie is it's kind of Zach, Zach's
It is
kind of
Zach.
multi-faceted. And so it's I would say at its heart, it's a movie like about a character that has a good heart. And they are in a situation that is dire, I would say, and eerie and creepy and bad. There's bad things happening to them, but they're a good person, and they've got some skills. But they also have some things that they can do to kind of try to stop what's going on. And it's just such a great character in this movie, this main character. And it takes place in like a call dispatch center for like a police station. And
Yeah.
so you get this really cool mix of funny moments, creepy moments, scary moments, and it's awesome. And it's got Zach's unique sense of humor in it. If you watch Dweebs and liked what Zach did with Dweebs, I mean, this is another evolution into like feature film in terms of the full range of what you do with movies. So
Thank you.
really
Carl.
proud of you.
Thank
I
you.
love the movie. Yeah, and the character stuck with me, moments stuck with me. And I told you this, Zach, but Jacob, I haven't had a chance to talk to you. It was extreme, like the pacing of the movie was so well done. Like, how many times we're watching a movie or you're talking to somebody about a movie and you're like, yeah, and then this happened and that was kind of weird. I didn't really get what that was about. And then this character, every time they showed up, I didn't like it. This movie was just smooth. Like everything flowed. It felt so natural, and you just kind of got sucked into this world. And even with the different beats you would do, funny beats, scary beats, it all felt like one world. And by the end, I felt like I could describe, that world, and I could kind of imagine that world. So that it was an awesome movie.
Very cool.
And
Thank you.
really proud of you. Loved it. But Jacob, I didn't know if you had anything you were going to say.
No, I mean, I thought like exactly what Travis said. It definitely shows Zach and for what he was. I do want to shout out the score was
Yes.
very good.
So I
Like,
co-directed this, and just to give this a tiny bit of snippet here, like I co-directed this with my friend Brad Huffman, and he did the score. All the score was him, and yeah, he did an outstanding job. Yeah.
but I also just want to like shout out like your lead actress
Dude.
was, to be honest with you, and I'll say this in just my opinion, like she was, she should be in other things. Like,
yeah.
Like she should be in other pieces of media, and I hope she is. I don't know if she is. I never even heard of her until I saw it. And I was like, I mean, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, dude, she should be doing other things too. Like this should not be the only thing she ever does.
We were on set, and we had several actors come up, and it's like, what else is she in, or whatever, or I forgot what we were talking about, and it was like, yeah, for now, like everybody knew that it was like, yeah, she's gonna hit it big. Like there's no way she can't. Like when you like see her on screen and see her abilities, and she was incredible. She was so, because she was in so many scenes, like she is like the bulk of the movie, and you're kind of,
she's the heart of the movie.
Yeah, you really want to connect with her, so she's in a lot of stuff. And man, like we had some tough shoots, and like there was times where I was like ready to like even think about tapping out, and I never do that. And I'm like, man, do we want to take like a break, or like I don't want to kill them? And like she was like, let's just keep going, let's just do this. And I'm like, dang, like the freaking determination in her and doing all that stuff, I was like blown away. I was like, dang, that's like, I've been shocked by very few people in my life to like to this level, but she just brought it in all ways. But yeah, we felt like we just kept telling her too. It was like, please remember us when you get famous. Like, please remember that goofy little indie film you were in. Like, please just remember us when you get big.
Yeah.
And there's just no way she won't be one day.
She's phenomenal. She's just so she brought that character to life. You guys wrote a great character, but I can't imagine anybody else. Honestly, like I really can't imagine anybody else playing that character the way she did. She
Yeah.
just brought it to life. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, that's magic. That's magic that like that you guys all as a group and her performance and your guys' writing and all the effort that went on set and that came to life. I mean, that's really, really cool.
Yeah,
So.
it's a very cool experience. I mean, there was a couple. There was two standout moments. There was multiple times when we were watching. It was like, oh, I loved watching it with that. Like that was my biggest joy. Like one of my best days of my life was like sitting in that theater and watching everybody see it for the first time. But like people laughed when we wanted them to laugh. They gasped, there was some scary stuff or whatever, and then like people like cried. There was like tears and stuff, and like I heard so, like yeah, just different beats. Like certain beats, I was like, is this gonna hit? And then it hits. It's like, oh my gosh, and then like getting to meet everybody. It was cool seeing the cast and crew give autographs and stuff. There was like people cast and crew like coming up, and like people had posters. We had posters there and stuff. People could sign and. You feel like, it felt like they got to feel like a little star for a day. I felt like really cool. Me and Brad did. It's like, oh, shoot. Like, and then like, it's very funny because it's like, wow, we feel like we're somebody. And then like 2 days later, my freaking, I shouldn't say freaking like I'm mad or whatever, but my son had a little accident in his car seat, so I have to clean it, so I'm spraying it in the back of my yard, and I just immediately started laughing because I'm like, 2 days ago I was signing autographs, now I'm shooting crap, like blowing out this freaking crap all over the yard. It's like life like came back to reality like so fast like in life. But no, it's something I'll always remember. The night went so well. We had a great after party that was so freaking fun. Like everything went so smoothly, and it was a freaking blast.
The all-time best karaoke evening.
Oh
I've
yeah,
ever
we had karaoke with actors. Just think about that. Like
karaoke with actors, you got to do it. At a rap party, you got to do it once in your life.
It's crazy.
They come out in a whole new way.
Yeah. So I thank you guys for coming out there and supporting me, and yeah, it was a dream to do this, and it was very just surreal getting to finally do it. It was very cool. Always remember it.
Yep. You've made your directorial debut. You should be really proud of the film that you made. 100% self-funded. And I will say the film didn't suffer for that because you guys put the work into the parts that matter, like the story, the characterization, the world, you guys did it right. And I'm just blown away by what you guys achieved. So, yeah. Well, I watched Longlegs. It was good. I don't really feel like talking about it that much. I will say it was creepy. It was a scary movie. On the horror end, it was definitely scary. I really did like it a lot. It was very eerie. It's almost interesting to compare and contrast it against your movie, Zach. It had a very it was kind of like a little bit of a movie about breaking a cycle, but it was much darker, and there was this energy of like hatred and evil in it that it's just kind of interesting to juxtapose against your movie, not to get into details and stuff. I think as dark as your movie got, there was this heart and this celebration of life at its core that's so true to who you are and Brad is. And so this movie, it's just interesting how even if movies have certain things that, okay, this is a different movie. It was more like Silence of the Lambs almost, but there were some similarities. And I think it's so interesting how even a movie that maybe has certain things that are similar can have such a different feeling and such a different path it goes down. And it's funny, coming to the end of the month, I loved Longlegs. I couldn't stop talking about it at the beginning of the month, and now I'm just thinking about your movie. Like your movie stuck with me on like a meaning level.
Confirmed.
And I loved Longlegs, but it's just I just think that's so cool and interesting that like it's not like you made a movie. It's like, okay, we went and saw it. My friend made this movie and that was cool, but then I saw Longlegs and it was amazing. It's like I saw both of these movies this month, and I'm comparing and contrasting them in my head as films.
Yeah,
and like comparing the merits of the way this film talked about this theme versus that film, or like your film depicts certain spiritual entities, let's say.
Yeah.
Longlegs did things also, but you guys went about them different ways.
Yeah.
And like, ooh, I like how Choke did this thing, and they saved it for this moment. Whereas in Longlegs, it's just like I think that's a
Different.
compliment
Yeah.
that like
That's pretty cool.
I'm weighing your movie as a film,
Yeah,
not as
that is
like this
cool.
thing I watched that my friend made, you know. And
Yeah.
I don't know. So it was kind of a cool month too for that. On that, it was a good month for horror movies and thrillers, I would say. So, yeah,
Very cool. Cool. I think that might do it. Very long podcast, but you know what? Sony and Xbox up to their own shenanigans. I'm up to my own shenanigans.
we have the opportunity to end this podcast at exactly 2 hours.
Okay.
If we end it by my clock in 25 seconds.
Okay.
Hurry.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank
You're
you,
great.
Travis and Jacob, for coming to the premiere. You guys can follow Choke on IMDb. Choke 2024 has a woman's face with
You don't
a
have
headset.
to rush.
You can check it out. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.